So that's when I said, I already have Wi-Fi. A Wi-Fi hate.
Okay, boomer.
Welcome back to the Social Disruption Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Dalton.
I'm Dakota.
And thank you, y'all, for those that tuned into our live episode last week. We had such a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for coming out and contributing, commenting, and sitting through it with us.
Yeah. We can put it up on YouTube, but we may have some problems putting it on streaming services. We're using free programs to convert it to MP4s, to convert it into our RSS feeds for our streaming platforms.
And the file's big as fuck.
Yeah, and it's like, I forget what the megabyte is. It's like 150 is the max.
Something
and
like that.
An hour-long episode is like right at 150.
Yeah, and that bad boy's got to be at least a good 350.
Yeah, that's a long one. So we'll probably throw the actual video feed of it on YouTube, but that may be the only place you can listen to it. So we apologize for that. And in the future, that will not happen again.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, new month, new theme. Welcome to
what is the theme for this
November,
month? Yeah.
everybody. And this month, we're doing things that we're thankful for. Things that we have passion for.
Yeah. October was spooky. We're getting towards the end of the year, which is mainly a positive time of year for most people. Because you know,
good vibe season, boy.
Good vibe season. I'm here for it. So yeah, we're going to start off with a little bit of something we're thankful for and kind of loosely things we're just passionate about. And Dakota, what are you passionate about?
Bitches. No,
where the bitches at? No.
No, this week's episode we're going to be talking about some vehicles, some cars.
Cars. Now, preface, I am not knowledgeable on cars at all.
Well, do you know who is knowledgeable on cars?
I would like to know, yes.
Our special guest this week, my boy Wesley.
Hi.
Oh, there he is, Stanky Frankie himself.
It's your boy here.
You know, only his head is here. His body is actually still at home, and his neck just traveled the whole distance.
Oh, this boy got a long neck.
I'm sitting at the end of this table, and they can't see my shoulders.
It's crazy. So, welcome to the show, Wesley. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, give us a little rundown, Wesley. Give us a little about me.
Why are you the one to talk to about cars? What makes you
Well,
the
I'm
one?
very opinionated on cars.
Yeah.
But, you know, they've kind of been a passion of mine since I was young, you know, prepubescent.
Okay.
And, you know, I've had a few.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know. I just...
You got a lot to say on the subject?
Somewhat. I'm not an expert or anything, but...
You have passion for it, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Let's see. Wesley, how long we've known each other? It's probably like something like, 16 years now? 17?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And
I've known you for 3 now? Something like that?
Yeah.
2 or 3, yeah.
And so from the moment I met you and first started spending the night at your house when you were in 5th grade and I was in 6th grade, you had just a bunch of cars. You had magazines, calendars, the fucking little model cars. Like, you were a car guy, and you were the biggest car guy I ever met until I met Dakota.
Hey.
So having you two car juggernauts on here should lead to some pretty good discussions.
Absolutely. Your boy had just huge tote bins full of Hot Wheel cars. I had all kinds of stuff, little die cast. You put them together,
yeah,
and sit them on your shelves and all kinds of stuff like that.
Me too.
Just
I have a buttload of Hot Wheels cars.
I love them.
Yeah.
I've seen a car before.
Have you ever been in one?
Actually have.
I was just the one now. I do have a car.
Holy shit, guys. This is groundbreaking.
Barely, though, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But, so, I don't know. I know easily the least out of the three of us about cars. I don't know where y'all want to start this. Y'all want to talk about some first vehicles?
Yeah, let's go. Let's break the mold with what got us into liking cars in the first place. The first cars we ever had. The first cars we ever liked.
Ooh, yeah.
All this lovely stuff. What got you into cars, Wes?
Well, necessity, really.
Way back in 5th grade.
Yeah, before that even. See, I grew up without a dad. So, my mom wasn't a wealth
I wasn't expecting that.
My mom wasn't a wealth of masculine information as far as cars and building and stuff that I'm into now. So she always bought my subscription to Hot Rod magazine.
Okay.
And really, I didn't even read the articles. I just looked at the pictures.
Gotta look at the
Now,
cars, man.
who is Rod, and why is he so? I'm sorry. This is all I'm gonna have. This is all I got for this episode. Continue. I'm sorry.
And that's all we need.
It'd be comic relief if you were funny.
Okay.
Bow, wow, wow.
All right. Go ahead.
We need a sound effect so bad. Anyways, tell me more about this hot rod.
Well, and then I got into the die-cast cars, like he's talking about, the 124 scale. So I got a bunch of them. I have like 40 that I've collected over the years.
Okay. Do you remember what your first one was?
It was a Porsche Boxster.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It was like a little blue one, cabriolet. I think they're all cabriolet, convertible, whatever.
Right.
And also, I have a lot more Hot Wheels than I have those. And
I don't know anybody that didn't have Hot Wheels growing up.
yeah.
I wasn't even like super into cars, but I still had them. You know.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Now when you say this is not a joke or a pun. When you say like 124, like 1 to 24 scale, does that mean like? Is that just what it sounds like? I've always wondered that. Like, if it's 124, does that mean it's
like the actual whole car shrunk down
24 times?
20. It's like
that's the size of the die-cast model car.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Basically, for every 24 inches on the real car, it's 1 inch on the model.
Oh, okay. That's cool. You know, I always just kind of assumed that, but I didn't want to sound stupid.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool.
I don't know what Hot Wheels are. They're like 164th or something like
check.
that.
Sounds
I'll
about.
fact check that real quick, boy.
Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly. I remember like the first quote unquote like car that I remember liking was a McLaren F1.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I knew what a Lamborghini was, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. But one of my friends, Samuel, we'll have him guess that at some point, was always just like, yo, there's a car faster than the Lamborghini.
What?
It's called the McLaren F1. And I was just like, it's not a real thing. Like,
Lo and behold,
it was.
And back on the Hot Wheels, they're 143rd.
Oh,
I
okay.
was almost
That's
close.
a prime number. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's not nice.
But yeah, so the McLaren F1, I remember I had a calendar of cars that had the McLaren on there, and I was just like, wow, that thing looks slick.
Oh yeah, they're real nice.
It's like most kids had the picture of the Lamborghini Countach, or I had one of the Enzo Ferrari.
Yeah. And then I remember some really nice cars in like the Need for Speed games. Ooh, yeah, that thing.
Can you imagine having one of them things back then? Look, that was cutting edge.
Yeah, exactly.
Back then. And
Talk about blind spots, boy.
oh my goodness, where?
I've seen one of those in
Look at the size
person
of that.
when I lived in
What the
Texas.
size is that B pillar?
It looks like a cartoon character car.
It really does.
It's like not even real.
It's insane.
Yeah. But you saw one of those in person?
Yeah, in Texas.
And this is a Lamborghini Countach?
yeah.
Countach, yes.
It looks like something a child would draw,
Yeah.
and then somebody turned it into a real.
Like the new Civic.
Yeah, it's like
Except
absurd.
for the new Civic is a little bit more curvy.
Yeah,
Just a little though.
yeah, but it's still I guess it's kind of groundbreaking in its design as far as the Countach. Like nobody had seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
It was like blowing people's minds when it came out.
Yeah. And then they like refined it with the Diablo.
Yeah,
After that.
yeah. I like the Diablo too. Countach is just a little like ballsy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
they
Diablo
took a
got a
risk.
little bit sleeker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They
It's the
definitely
same-
polished it up.
It's the same wedge shape style. It's just a little bit more curvy. Not curvy at all. But
Now-
a little bit more than the Countach was.
Another ignorant car question. It seems like these luxury cars, the ones that I assume go really fast, they're so flat. Like, I know that's the whole aerodynamic thing. It makes sense. The flatter, the sleeker, the faster. But it seems like there was a trend for a while there where they just tried to make cars as flat as fucking possible.
That was the wedge.
The
era.
wedge, yeah.
The wedge.
Yeah,
That's what it's called, the wedge era.
I guess.
Because like you saw the Countach.
Yeah, the
Shows you
Countach
there,
was-
it literally looks like a fucking doorstop.
I want to
with wheels.
ride a bike up that
Look
thing
at
and
it.
get some air.
Look
Like-
at it. It's a doorstop.
could.
It's
Yeah.
a wedge. That's the profile design of the vehicle was a wedge.
Yeah.
If you ever see these cars in person, they look low, like in pictures, but in person, it's ridiculous. They come up to like your balls.
Yeah.
They're so
That's
short.
what it looks
like
like.
leaning back against the car.
Yeah,
It
like that
comes
one-
Up, like
Yeah,
the
you
bottom
could
of,
sit
like
on
the
the
top of the
car.
car comes up to her ass.
Yeah, I would say it looks like at
Look
the
at this.
tallest part of that car
Yeah.
comes up to like my belly button tops.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
Like,
dirt nasty low.
jeez, that's insane. Now, how much those
It's all
bad
about
things?
downforce, baby.
How much those bad things cost
Original
you?
price. It in the 70s, the MSRP for a Countach was $102,000.
Damn, that's like $60 million today.
Close.
I don't think that's close at all.
It's not.
No, they got most new Lamborghinis go for at least double that nowadays.
Yeah,
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
or
Let me see
triple
the,
probably.
300K
Let's see.
probably.
Yeah, like a lower end, like a Aventador.
Let's see, the new
might be
Aventador.
cheaper.
How much does this bad boy go for?
The new Conquistador, is that what you said?
Aventador.
Absolutely.
The suggested retail price of $573,966 in America.
Damn, dude, that's like half my
Yikes.
paycheck.
I was off.
Yeah, that was
This
awesome.
is what they look like nowadays.
I mean,
same-
that looks worth.
Same concept with the wedge shape, and it's just a lot more refined. It's got them big ass wing openings on the sides. Look at them air vents coming out them back tires.
Yeah.
Boy, I could fit my whole head in there.
Yeah.
And y'all know how long my neck is.
So, yeah, I just remember the McLaren being like the sleek, super. It looks fast as hell. I
Yeah.
believe I remember it was on one of the Need for Speed or the Gran Turismo games. It was the fastest car in the game at the time.
Yeah, it used to be. I think it was the fastest car in the world for a period of time.
Yeah.
It was. Did you know the McLaren F1 only has one seat, and it's in the middle of the cockpit of the car?
I did not
It
know.
does not
I've
have a
always thought
driver
that
and
was
passenger
awesome.
seat. It's only got one seat in the middle of the car.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's
It's
weird.
it's like a purpose-built track car.
Yep.
It's like
I don't think they were ever
impractical.
street legal. I think
Really?
they were only.
I think they are.
I think they were only
Well-
built for track use.
Really?
I think so.
Hmm.
It was
Okay.
it was like a record breaker.
Really?
Man.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be very hard to drive one on the road
Yeah.
with all the blind spots. Like those cars, that's the only
Okay,
thing.
only 64 road legal McLaren F1s were ever built, and that's for
Damn.
homologation rules so that they could use it in races legally. Because a lot of different race leagues have it's called a homologation rule where they have to be available to the public to be allowed to be driven in races. So there has to be a
Oh,
minimum
okay.
threshold of cars that are built and sold to the public to be allowed to be raced, and that's why it says there's only 64 of them ever made.
Wow.
Damn, that's crazy.
It's got a top speed of 243 miles an hour. It's got a BMW V12 engine made of carbon fiber, Kevlar, and titanium,
Ooh.
and it has a stock horsepower of 627.
Gosh, dog.
My car has 200.
My car has only 400.
Shut the fuck up.
No. But I also had a model. It was probably, what you said earlier, 124 scale. It was a PT Cruiser, which is one of many times I'm going to mention PT Cruisers in this
Oh,
episode.
hot dog.
It was called the Bruiser Cruiser because it was a black PT Cruiser with teal blue flames.
Was it monster truck tires?
No,
That's
it was
how you
not.
bruise them.
It was not. But I had that for a while, and I don't remember why it was given to me, but I remember thinking it looked neat. And
My mom always called those pet hearses.
pet hearses.
Yeah, like a
hearses?
hearse, like a hearse for a human, but for a pet.
Oh, like he's on his
Oh.
way to the pet cemetery.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, yeah.
That's what they look like.
I mean, they do. They're ugly. They're gross. They're the Nickelback of cars. I feel like they serve their purpose, but
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, they made a turbo version.
They did.
So
He
there's
told me
that.
about
They
that
made that thing
actually.
go fast.
Yeah.
Let's see what are the specs on a turbo PT.
All right, so we're not about to look up specs for every single car we talk about. We're-
Things
I like
people
doing
never-
it.
We're already
never Google.
15 minutes into the episode. We got so
We're
much more
talking
things to
about-
talk about.
PT bruisers, my dude.
Well, as far as the the McLarens and Lamborghinis and stuff, those are just so out of reach for me that it's like it's cool to fantasize about them for a while, but it's not really practical to fantasize about them because I'm
'Cause
never.
then you'll just get sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm never gonna. I might be lucky enough to sit in one at some point in my life, but never drive one
We're just gonna keep going to Cars and Coffee, and eventually we'll see a cool one.
or steal one.
Maybe even
Yeah.
steal it.
Yeah,
They'll probably just give them away. I imagine.
Stranger things have happened, my dude.
What's an early car memory you have, Dakota?
I remember. I think you'll resonate pretty well with this because I know we kind of touched on this before we started recording earlier.
Okay.
One of the first model cars I ever had was a Dodge Viper.
Oh yeah,
And I still to this day is one of my favorite vehicles.
yeah, agreed.
I don't
I
think
had
I
a-
ever got one of those.
I
but
had a yellow
they're
one
cool.
with black stripes,
Ooh,
and I thought I was just the coolest kid around.
you were. What happened?
I don't know. I guess
No,
I just left those times behind.
one of my favorite like little Hot Wheels was a Dodge Viper. It was the red with white racing stripes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, classic.
The classic. Yeah, I had that for a long time. Might still have it back home, like in a random closet somewhere in Edgefield in my parents' house.
Okay. Do they still make the Viper?
Really?
I think so, because I think last time we talked about it, I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't. I don't know.
It's
feel
called
like they do.
the Viper ACR nowadays.
Oh,
Look at that
yeah,
thing.
look at that thing. That thing's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see that.
It's a very odd. This is very
Yeah.
They're slick.
very visual episode, so you may have to start looking these up as we're talking about them. But these things are nice.
Oh yeah.
But what about So y'all had this love of cars through childhood.
Yeah.
You grow up looking at these model cars. You know, talking to friends about cars, watching cars. You get old enough to drive.
Uh huh.
What's the first car did you get?
Was the first car we ever got, or the first car we drove?
Let's
Because
say
those are wildly different.
let's say drove. Actually, yeah. Let's say what's the first car you've ever driven, and then what's the first car you ever, I'll say owned, but had.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You want to give it a whirl?
Yeah, I'm sure the first one I ever drove was my mom always had trucks. She always had either Toyota Tacoma or Nissan Frontier. So,
Yeah, I remember.
so that was, I don't know which one, I can't really remember, but I always used to drive those down my grandparents. They had like a private road driveway. It was a dirt road, and I would drive down there. So that's the first I ever drove technically, but the first one I ever had that was mine was, check this out,
Oh boy,
a 1972 El Camino.
I remember.
Ooh-wee.
That's what I'm remembered for in Edgefield County.
Yeah,
Aren't you the kid that had the El
The
Camino?
hell Camino.
yeah. I think it was nice. Where did you get that again?
Mr. Clark, the band teacher.
I remember
Actually,
that. Yeah.
It was actually on the side of the road. I didn't know it was his. And then turns out it was.
Yeah.
But he didn't give me a deal on it, so screw you, Mr. Clark.
Yeah. I think he has diabetes now, so
Yikes.
sucks to suck.
But as much as I'd still love to have that car, it was a lemon. And what that means
Oh yeah.
is
He licked it and it was sour.
What's a lemon? Because I've heard the term
it's basically, it sucks.
like a money sink.
Yeah, it's like a money hole.
Mm.
But I had to fix it like all the time.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
You like had it, but you had it in the shop more than I feel like you had it out.
I feel like that's correct.
Yeah.
I'm looking up the definition right now. In U.S. English, a lemon is a vehicle often new that turns out to have several manufacturing defects affecting its safety value or utility. Any vehicle with such severe issues that it be termed a lemon, and by extension, so may any products with flaws too great or severe to serve their purpose.
Dang.
Huh.
Basically
Yeah.
something that's just in the shop more often than it's not.
Yeah.
Dang.
But
I mean-
boy, that sound.
That thing
Ooh.
was nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I've always loved the American V8 sound. That was a 350, of course, a Chevy motor.
Mm-hmm.
And similar sort of to the one I have in my truck. Well, mine's a 4.8. I don't know what that is in cubic inches. What is that like? I think a 350 is a 5.7. Can't remember.
Let's see.
I think a 6.9.
R.I.P. Snitch 9.
But no. I remember the El Camino. You had the Dixie horn on it too.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And fun story. I actually got rid of that because I was tired of people using it. I
Yeah.
was tired of people pressing it all the time. That's all they want to do is get in and press it. So I was like, nope.
Nope. Get that shit out of here.
Because I mean it was fun at first, but then
Gets old fast. Yeah.
yeah,
A 4.8 liters is a 293.
yeah. What's a 350? Is that a 5.7?
Let's see.
I feel like it's close because that's what they.
5.7, yeah.
Yeah.
My first vehicle. My dad had a work buddy that was selling a '92 Ford Ranger.
Ooh.
And he bought it for me and my brother. And that's all he told us. He was like, I bought y'all a Ford Ranger truck. And we were like, oh, heck yeah. So we drove out to go get it. And yo, this thing, they called it the Danger Ranger.
Why'd they call it that?
Well, I'll explain. First off, it had no power steering.
Okay.
And if you've ever driven a car without power steering,
I learned how to drive in a car.
I have one now.
oh,
My Honda. It came factory, no power steering.
Hell yeah.
dang. It's not a problem if you're like going, but until you have to do a 3-point turn
Oh, yeah.
or, God forbid, a U-turn.
Oh.
Like,
You're going to be cranking, boy.
yeah, you'll get an arm workout. It also had no heat, no AC. It was a manual, so I learned how to drive a stick, which I really enjoyed and I want to go back to.
It walked uphill to school both ways in the snow.
But dented all to shit. Very bad windshield wipers. It had no gas gauge, so we had to get gas roughly every 300 miles. And whenever we got gas, we had to get a full tank of gas and reset the odometer.
That's what I have to do now, unfortunately.
Really?
My gas gauge doesn't work in my truck.
Damn.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. So we that was it. He bought it for $300,
Nice.
and me and my twin brother shared it, and I loved it. I loved that little truck.
I remember riding in it.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was fun.
Was it scary?
Oh, it was. one of the few times I rode in it, Dustin backed into the Chinese restaurant.
Oh no, that was
wall.
me.
It was.
That was me. We went to go see Ben Zhang at the
Oh,
restaurant,
Yeah,
and I hit the wall.
and my head smacked on the back of the window. So yeah, it was a Danger Ranger in my eyes.
It sure was.
Sure sounds like it.
But yeah, we ended up selling it to a friend of ours once me and Dustin got like hand-me-down vehicles from our parents.
Okay.
It was really shitty because my dad bought it for $300. We sold it to our friend Kiefer. Shout out to Kiefer. For $200, and like months later, he had it scrapped for metal for $400.
Yeah.
$100 more than we bought it for.
He bamboozled you.
No, I think what did it was I had installed a skull gear shift.
Ah,
That's it.
okay.
I think
And that's what gave you most of the money.
I think so. Yeah, I think that was like $350 of the $400 right there.
Yeah,
You can
maybe.
pawn
The guy
those for
probably kept
$1,000.
it.
You
Guy
probably
probably kept it.
But that was the Danger Ranger, and I love that deer truck. I miss it every day.
Okay.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. What about you?
Rip the Danger Ranger. I learned how to drive. My dad had a 77 Malibu that was more rust than paint.
Okay. Okay.
It had the bucket seats that were blue vinyl, cracked to shit. They stabbed you in the legs. You stuck to them whenever you were sitting in it. He had the fuzzy dice hanging from the rear,
Oh,
from the
hell
rear
yeah.
view mirror. He thought that thing was baller, and it was not. I learned how to drive in that. It didn't have power steering. It didn't have, like I said, it didn't have heat. It didn't have air.
Was it manual?
It was not a manual, but it had the little cassette deck.
Ooh.
It had crank windows.
Yes.
Absolute base model. Like
Yeah.
No features at all. It had just the long bucket seats across the whole thing. Nothing electric about it, except
Okay.
for like the headlights. But
Yeah.
yeah, I learned how to drive in that. We took it to the DMV. That's where I got my license in. And as soon as I took my permit test, we were on the way home from the North Augusta DMV, the one right there off of Muskogee Lake Road.
Yeah.
And my dad pulled over on the side of the road, got out of the car, and was like, all right, get me home. And I was like, shit.
Don't do it to me, Daddy.
And that's when I began to drive.
Oh.
It was a scary ride home.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy myself at all. And then the majority of the rest of my childhood driving was done in my mother's 2006 Chrysler Town and Country.
Okay.
Or no, it was a Dodge Caravan, excuse me.
Dodge
It
Caravan.
was a Dodge Caravan. It was like oyster blue. Ugly,
Okay.
ugly as shit. It had third row seating and everything. The slide open doors.
Nice.
It was a chick magnet.
Oh, for sure.
And we got around. I did a lot of going to Walmart in that thing.
Oh, boy.
That's what I used to do a lot in my El Camino, actually, when I get off of work, is just go to Walmart for some reason.
Just sit in the parking lot and rev your engine and see if you can get some panties wet.
Yeah. I would go and pick Carrie up. I mean, I did that. So
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, can you really go home a man if your truck wasn't the loudest one at Sonic?
it wasn't.
No.
I'm talking to you, Jake.
From State Farm.
Khakis.
No, yeah, those are cool first vehicles. Honestly, like we all.
then
Yeah.
The first vehicle I actually
You owned. What is it?
me and my boy Michael Toller
Oh no.
drove out to Jackson, South Kakalaki, and bought me a '96 Jeep Cherokee.
Ooh.
That, boy, let me tell you, you open the hood of that thing, you could see your feet. There was no engine, there was no transmission, there was nothing. It was a rolling body.
Okay.
We strapped it to his truck with just ratchet straps.
Okay.
I sat in the back, steering the Jeep, and he just pulled it home with the F-150.
Jeez.
It was terrifying. It was probably illegal.
Definitely.
Yeah, that sounds legal as fuck.
It was terrifying. The windows didn't go down because they were power windows. It didn't have a battery. It didn't have an engine. So it was like middle of the summer. It was hot as fuck. I literally periodically would open the door.
Yeah.
While we were I was just rolling down fucking Atomic Highway just so I could get some airflow in there because I was getting baked alive inside of that death trap Jeep. And I never actually put an engine in it. It just sat in his parents' front yard. And I never actually did anything with it. I'm pretty sure it's still sitting at his parents' house to this day.
Nice.
But the first vehicle I actually legally operated that had all of the functioning mechanical parts was a 2006 Saturn Ion.
Oh, okay.
It was a manual. It's the first car I ever actually legally owned. So I learned how to drive in a manual in that. It was nice enough. I mean, it had an aux cord jack. It had pretty much everything I needed. It had 4 doors, 5 seats. It carried around me and all my friends at the time. It got me to work and everything. And really no complaints. And then I donated it to a buddy of mine when I left for boot camp.
Nice.
And because he was driving an 80s Miata that had one functioning tire. And it was a soft top that he had lost the top years prior. So literally, it was just absolutely nothing in his car because every time he would take off down the road, everything would just blow out because he didn't have a roof.
Yeah.
So I ended up donating that to my buddy, and he drove it up until about 6 months ago, and then he donated it down again to one of his younger coworkers. And then he bought himself a new car recently. So
nice.
It's the good deed mobile is still on the track. It's a greatness.
Pass it on.
Yeah, it was funny because I was working at Sitel at the time when I bought that car, and it was maybe $2,500. I bought it off of a guy because he'd actually bought it for his daughter as a graduation present, and then the day of graduation, she ran off with her boyfriend, and he was like, well, she ain't getting this shit now.
No.
And he just gave it to me for $2,500. It was like, just get this car away from me. I'm not giving it to my daughter. And I was like, shit, that's all you had to say.
Yeah.
I bought it off of him. My parents helped me get it, and then I just paid him back for it because I needed the money up front, and then I just paid him back as I was working.
Yeah.
And I showed up to work the next day, having actually driven myself to work, and it turns out that the guy I was shadowing at the time actually came to be one of my best friends now. Had the exact same vehicle as me, except for his was an automatic and it was one shade lighter gray. Same year, same make, model, everything.
Nice,
That's pretty cool.
Well, all right, those are some cool first cars for sure. Wesley's kind of edging us out with the Hell Camino. I feel like
Yeah,
a casual flex.
Yeah, I feel like most kids from our generation, their first vehicle wasn't 21 years older than them.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't change my first car, even though it was a lemon. It was an experience.
It's definitely a cool story.
Yeah.
Let you learn how to turn some wrenches.
Oh, boy, did I. That's the first car I ever worked on. I changed the,
By that, do you mean your non-existent dad yelled at you while you held the flashlight in the wrong places?
Yes. Except for I was my dad.
And I am my own grandpa.
And no one was holding the flashlight. Because I used to think I wanted to be a mechanic, right? Yikes.
Yes. Being a mechanic is just going home covered in oil and having your knuckles busted all the time. That's really it.
Yeah.
I mean, shout outs to all the mechanics listening to this. I know you guys have hard jobs, and it probably sucks. And I know that you're passionate about vehicles, and you probably fucking hate them nowadays.
Yeah.
But
That's exactly why I don't want to now. Like, as soon as
Especially
I started working on that one, I was
Especially
like,
with modern cars. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
The way that modern vehicles are designed to have to be taken to a dealership to be serviced.
oh, that's like, I don't know. That should be illegal.
Fucking
Can I tell
Really?
you Can I tell you something that pisses me off?
Sure.
The car that I have right now is I have a 2015 Hyundai Veloster. I have to remove the front bumper of my vehicle to change the headlights. Can you explain why the fuck I have to do that?
Whack.
Yeah.
And you know the result of that?
What?
I have 2 blown headlights right now.
Oh,
I ain't getting changed.
no.
Not until I have
Fuck.
to.
Yeah, I never really drove like an inconvenient car to service until I drove my current car, which is a 2007 Chevy Cobalt.
Shout out to Chevy for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, my boy with the slow ball. Let's talk about that thing
Dude.
for a minute. The death trap itself.
Well, first off, I get the idea of the battery being in the trunk.
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, because like, why would they put it underneath an area designed to carry things?
Chevy's
store
notorious for putting batteries in dumb places. Well, GM, like there's I think the
whole
GMC
GM brand
Acadia. Yeah.
has
It's like
just
you have to take off the
dumbass
front left
designs.
wheel
The front left
to
wheel.
change the battery. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I gotta do that, and then to change a headlight, you gotta like, I think you've helped me change one of my headlights before.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
gotta
that
like,
was a pain in the ass.
yeah, you gotta like an ungodly angle where you gotta screw something in that you can't see.
Yep.
Good
Like-
thing my wrists are skinnier than my neck.
That is a good thing. If not, then you'd probably be fat.
Yeah,
Very fat.
yeah.
If your wrist was thicker than your neck,
Yeah.
there would be some medical
Or
issues.
fucking
But have you
jacked.
seen this neck?
One of the two. I mean, I feel like if you got jacked, your neck would grow too.
Maybe.
But anyways,
Oh.
speaking of annoying features of vehicles, I used to have a Chrysler 200,
Okay.
and you had to go through the wheel well to change the headlights on
Oh.
that because it had like a
Oh.
little flap that you could pull down, and then you could access.
Oh
the,
yeah.
And then you actually had to like get in the car and like turn the steering wheel all the way
Yeah.
to one side to get into one wheel,
Dang.
and then get back in it, turn it all the way to the other side just so you could get into the other one.
That's rough.
So
I think the reason they do it now is just to save space because there's so
They,
much
like,
other crap. they have to fit
engineer
in engine
vehicles
bay.
to be as complicated as they possibly can, so that
Yeah.
you have to take it to a mechanic to get
Yeah.
simple things fixed.
I mean, it's just like Apple,
that just-
except for cars.
increases
Yeah.
the revenue that they're making off of that vehicle
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many more things that you have to pay to get fixed.
That
Yeah,
should
well,
be illegal.
it should be, but it's never gonna be. You
Yeah.
know?
It's similar to like
they can do what they want.
the designed obsolescence for like phones being cut out
Yeah,
after a
like-
certain level of a new operating system comes out and it's not supported by this XYZ device, and then you have to get a new phone because it just breaks.
I mean, it's
Stuff like that.
as
Like,
long as people
Yeah.
keep buying them, they're gonna keep doing it, which is unfortunate. But
Like
Capitalism.
my model for a company, like a vehicle company, would be just to make the most durable, easy to work on car and charge a lot of money for it.
yeah,
So that way, I mean, if it's the last car you need,
It's an investment.
If it can last you your whole life, why not pay $100,000 for a car?
yeah.
and then you're paying $100,000 for a Honda.
Well, true.
Is that bad? is that bad? I don't fucking.
No, Hondas are reliable. Usually, well, mine
You can beat them all to hell,
Yeah,
and they'll keep going. But I ain't about to spend $100,000 on a Honda.
No.
true.
No.
Well, okay, I'm not a good business. That's not a good business model, I guess.
Of course not.
I'm not a business-minded person, I guess.
But the concept is there. You buy something that's worth the money.
Yeah, that's basically, I guess, what I was getting at. You know, have it.
Getting what you pay for. Like, vehicles are getting so expensive nowadays, and they're so fragile.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the durability. Is just, you know, if you have a vehicle that's at the random parts that break on vehicles now that are like plastic and stuff. If you make them more durable, sure, it's going to cost more money, but you know, you can make it last exponentially longer.
But then that kind of factors into the whole, like, fuel economy and with, like, emissions regulations and stuff being so, like, harsh. It's hard to make vehicles as sturdy and as durable as they could be. But that kind of goes along with some of the other trends that you're kind of starting to notice nowadays in more modern vehicles is, like, they're not built as well as they could be just because they have to meet all of these different regulations. And then kind of starting to, like, even phasing out of, not necessarily phasing out, but, like, adapting more towards, like, the electric vehicles coming to be the future of cars, and phasing out manual transmissions, going towards more of like the CVTs and the dual clutch transmission, stuff like that, so that it's an easier, more user-friendly approach to driving. It's kind of an affront to car enthusiasts because it's kind of limiting the options, because if you want a new car with modern features, you're going to have to sacrifice some things. Like, you're not necessarily going to be able to get a nice new car with a manual transmission, or sometime in the future you might not even be able to get a car with a gas engine anymore. Stuff like that. Like,
I still think we're a long way off from that.
yeah, so I'm saying it's like some point in the future, but that's what's coming.
It's just monetarily, like Tesla. Everybody having Teslas is kind of out of reach for people like us.
Yeah. Well, I actually just read something on a Reddit thread today, really interesting and fitting that I read it on today when we went to go do this episode. Teslas, when you think Tesla, and if you see someone driving a Tesla, you think, man, they got money, right?
Sure.
They're loaded.
Well, it depends on the model.
Well, what I was about to say is the newest model, the Model S, I believe.
The newest one is the Model 3.
Model 3?
The sedan. It's a family car.
Yeah, it's starting at $40,000, which is pretty affordable. It's kind of in the upper mid tier for just like an average car, but like when you think electric car,
doable.
Yeah, when Tesla first came out, they were up into like 70, 80.
Yeah, I mean, like the high-end Model S, the P400 or whatever the fuck it's called, it's like 115,000, something like that. But that's paying for all the extra features. That's like getting all of like the luxury stuff in it and everything. So like, I would say like a base model, like very entry level. I mean, Tesla's not the only ones that are making electric vehicles. Anyways, there's like, you got like the Chevy Volt, the Nissan Leaf, all kinds of different stuff like that, which aren't necessarily completely electric, but they're hybrid with a significant margin towards electricity.
Yeah. And another interesting comment it made was that like, if you buy gasoline for your car, you're paying tax on that gas, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's supposed to go to roads. Doesn't always. That's a whole different thing. We're going to touch on taxes whenever we talk to old Donald Thompson about libertarianism and how taxation is theft.
It is.
But electric cars are coming out, and all of a sudden they're not paying those taxes on gasoline because they're not buying it.
But then you'll eventually end up, like, once it gets to the point where electric cars are the dominant mode of transportation, then I would assume that you could just tax electricity and put that
It's already there. Georgia actually.
Put that towards.
Georgia used to give you a $1,500 tax credit for driving an electric electric vehicle like 5 years ago. But now they tax you $700 to drive the electric vehicle because you're not buying gas and paying taxes.
Yep.
It's essentially saying, hey, if you buy gas, you're paying taxes that help roads. And in turn, you get to use said roads. But if you're not buying gas and you're not contributing to the roads, we're not going to let you drive on them.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So now
That's screwed.
You still have to pay that money one way or another when you drive electric.
The obvious next step is just to make an electric flying vehicle. And
Yeah.
Fuck roads.
Fuck roads.
Personal airplanes.
Yeah, fuck roads. Fuck taxes.
Down for that.
Fuck capitalism. Fuck the...
All right, that's being cut. For sure.
Yeah. No. But I think that's a super interesting conversation to have. And, like, I would love to have Wesley on again at some point in the future to talk about that in a little more detail about the future of cars and automobiles and travel. Because I feel like there's also, you could get into the smart cars, the self-driving cars.
I ain't even going to get started on that shit right now.
Like, that is a huge topic of discussion that we can honestly do a whole hour episode on, really.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, electric's the future. That's just what it is. But, until they get more, until I guess the oil tycoons run out of oil, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to be sucking up gas for the next probably couple decades.
And honestly, as long as they're... Oh, we'll cut it. I guess.
Let's not.
And that's not a racist joke. That's just facts, guys. Wake up, America.
Can we cut this entire segment, please?
Okay.
Keep it.
So what's your dream car?
Yeah, let's talk about that now. Let's cut that entire section that we just... All right, that's where we're going to stop cutting.
Okay, good call.
Anyways, Wesley, what's your dream car?
Wesley, Growing up, is there a car that you just said like, yo, one day I will have this? And did that car stay the same or change now?
And did you get it?
No. And I never will.
Well, not with that attitude.
I don't really know what my dream car. I had so many. It's like really my dream car. You know, a lot of people's dream cars, I'm sure, was some of the exotics, some of the higher end like Lamborghinis and Ferraris.
I'm a JDM man.
Well, that too. But those are just
JDM,
so out of reach.
I don't
It's
know
like
what that is.
Japanese
more
domestic market.
Nope.
nothing. But those are so out of reach for me. It's not. That's like a fantasy car. You know,
Tell me about the car that lets you touch yourself at night. Which one is it?
that lets me touch myself at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Challenger.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want a
Because
Hellcat, don't you?
That's. I mean, I'd like one. I don't necessarily. No, what mine would be was probably just a. No, I don't want any special fancy badges on it. Just a V8 with a shaker hood, and probably like charcoal gray or something.
Okay.
Something modest.
You want the ducktail on it?
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
You take the fender guards off though, right? Them little yellow clips that they put on the front.
Maybe. I'm not familiar with those.
Oh my god.
But I would. I definitely put louvers on it.
Of course. I mean, you got lubes on your truck.
True.
Yeah.
So, but that's a dream car that I could probably get one day.
Yeah.
And besides that, maybe a. I think what I really wanted growing up was a. I know it's cliche. Most people want 69 Camaro, but you know, either that or a
The little
Chevelle.
yellow lip on the
Oh yeah, that's
front
just
flitter.
gone, boy. No, I don't want that.
Yeah, get that thing out of there. They come stock, and a lot of people leave them on there as like a status thing. Like, ooh,
Gross.
No.
the splitter on my car is protected against bugs and
Yeah.
air.
But so like in actuality, it'd be like a. I guess there's a couple different terms. I guess Resto Mod's the most modern one,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like an old car with a new car's drivetrain.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
Like
they
an
like
old
strip all of the
69.
mechanics out of an older vehicle and like restore it to how it would be coming off the factory,
Yeah.
Oh.
like
That's what I want.
internally, and then they completely redo the like the drivetrain and everything with
And the
modern
suspension
parts,
and everything.
so that it drives like a new car,
Yeah.
but you get the feel of being in an older car.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like that Camaro we saw at the Cars and Coffee.
Yeah,
The red one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Did you see the Resto Mod Challenger that they did last year at SEMA for the Elephant engine reveal?
I don't think so.
Oh boy, let me show you this thing real quick.
What about well, I think my dream car when I was growing up, it's a little more different than my quote unquote dream car now. I have a car I like that is a quote unquote dream car, and then I have a car that I just really want really bad. I mean, it was a Dodge Viper growing up just because I thought they were the sleekest. They looked really cool, but honestly, your Xterra
Ooh.
like was really fucking cool. Like it had like it was white. You had like big old tires on it.
Yeah.
You had that grill on the front, the brush guard, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And it was
That's saucy.
I'll have to show you the video of it after we finish recording.
yeah, that's
But
nice.
they just
Resto Mod Challenge.
last year they actually just reintroduced the 426 Hemi,
Ooh.
and it's called the Elephant, and it's only being sold in crates. It's not street legal to put in a modern vehicle because it doesn't meet emission standards or anything like that.
Yeah.
And out of the box, it starts at 1,000 base horsepower.
Damn.
God. That's crazy because you think about these cars now that pushing like the Hellcat is pushing what seven.
The Demon has 707.
Yeah.
The,
It's like cars.
the Hellcat has like 650 or something like that.
Yeah. Even like the heavy duty. What do they call it? We saw that Challenger at Cars and Coffee, the Magnum.
Yeah.
That's only pushing like what 300 something.
Let me see. The
It's like half.
the Hemi
horsepower.
Magnum.
Yeah. It's like the horsepower is just crazy. Like you don't even need that much.
No.
But what were you saying about the Xterra?
Oh, your Xterra was just super nice. I like driving a lot. I like driving. I like being the one to take my friends places, and your car was super roomy and comfortable for that. But it was also big enough and rugged to strap like plenty of stuff on the top, like kayaks or canoes or
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like the perfect mix of being roomy and comfortable enough, but also durable and rugged enough.
Yeah, it's a utility vehicle.
Yeah.
It's like
I did love that car. It got stolen you know.
Yeah.
So, but there's, it was fun while it lasted. I had it for like 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
5 years, I think. So,
And that kind of segs into like the car I want now, what I want my next car to be. And I kind of get roasted for it a lot, but I really want a Kia Soul.
Ooh.
Like, they're just cute little.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, I was gonna do it to you.
We can tell you're not a car guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they make a turbo Kia Soul,
Really?
and they're pretty cool. Yeah.
see, I don't want
Let me
no
show you real quick. It's nice.
bells and whistles. I don't want anything super fancy. It's what I was saying about your Xterra. It's big enough and roomy enough to take friends comfortably, while also
Versatile.
taking
Yeah.
like also taking luggage. Has good gas mileage.
They're actually nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen the new. Yeah,
I
they
like
do look
them.
Sporty.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I like their shape. I like everything about them. I've driven one before. I've driven both an automatic and a manual Kia Soul, and they drive very nicely. And I just they're reasonable. They're like
Yeah.
15,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's not bad.
You know it's a crime to pay more than a dime.
oh, Jesus,
It's a crime to pay more than
I just got so many looks for that.
God,
I hate that.
yeah. But that's my realistic, hopeful next car with, and I hope to one day I will have an Xterra that I'll probably hit you up and be like, hey Wesley, make this exactly like yours was.
And I can do it.
Yeah.
I remember every dent too.
We'll go after that thing with a ball peen hammer.
Yeah. It's probably been scrapped. But,
Oh, probably.
So
Oh,
RIP to that as well.
Definitely.
Because I had 20-inch wheels on it, moto metals, Nito Terra grapplers. I had an exhaust on it.
See, I don't
All
even
kinda
know what all
crazy
that is,
stuff.
but it
We're
sounds
talking about the
sound-
tires, the rims, the exhaust.
sounds like
Yeah.
you were describing the Batmobile.
I
Like
mean,
you had some
basically.
grapplers and shit on it. Like
That's his tires. That's what
I
they're
don't
called.
give a shit.
They're fancy. The tires cost more than the rims.
Yeah, I was saying Nittos are expensive.
Ah.
Yeah.
And you have the Moto Metal rims on there too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. That all got stolen though. You know.
Yeah.
Dang.
Let me get some F's in the chat, boys.
F.
Uh,
What's your dream car, Dakota?
Oh boy. My attainable dream car or my
Both.
my wet dream car?
Your obtainable and your unobtainable.
All right. Honestly, I would say that I like my car's dirt nasty low, boy. Like I'm not trying to bag it
Slammed
or
and
anything.
crammed.
I'm not trying to bag it or anything like that, but I just want a car that's like sleek and low and nice. Like
Yeah.
I'd say like it's a toss up for me between like my two favorite modern vehicles would be the Chevy SS, which we talked about the other day at Cars and Coffee, and then the Genesis Coupe R-Spec.
I know what the Genesis looks like, but I don't know about the R-Spec.
It's so clean.
But
Okay.
those are pretty cool. They're
Oh, that is nice.
2 doors. I'm a fan of 2 doors, but only thing is they're not functional if you have a family.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a family.
Yeah,
so.
me either. So that's why I still have one.
I do, kinda. I consider them family, which is why my little Kia Soul can put us around town.
True.
Pow.
And be cute at it.
I think so. Plus, they
that's
had the hamster commercials.
The hamster commercial was one of the best things that's ever happened to television.
I agree.
Didn't they bring it back for a short time?
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe it was a Super Bowl.
Hot take. The
Probably.
hamster commercials are better than Friends was.
Facts.
Yeah. Okay. Agreed. We're not gonna rehash our friends' hatred on here, but facts. Well, sweet. I think that's good. What about your unobtainable?
I'm just looking at it.
He's still looking.
Just looking at
This
it.
boy's
It's
literally.
like
This boy's got a spot
like-
on his pants.
it's like if the Hyundai Tiburon and the Infiniti G37 had a baby, that'd be the Genesis
Both
R-Spec.
pretty attractive cars.
That'd be the Genesis,
Yeah.
and I would love them. They're great. They're wonderful. The only thing about them that I don't like is they're slow as shit.
Yeah. And
So
if
I'd
you
have
put an exhaust
I'd
on
have
it-
to take the 3.
Yeah.
What was it? The 3.4, something like that.
Now,
what does it
question.
even come with?
To both of you fellas, why does being slow or fast matter? You could be driving the speed limit.
It's a 3.8.
Sight.
I don't drive the speed limit, boy. You know that shit. I stay going 100.
I mean,
Like I can afford another one.
yeah. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
see. I mean, it's got a 3.8 liter V6. It comes stock with 350 horsepower. That just doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah.
why? Why doesn't it?
They're kind of heavy looking.
Yeah, they're fat.
Just like a Challenger.
Why
is,
will
but-
it not go 100 miles per hour?
No, it will.
It'll
definitely.
get there eventually.
Yeah.
Why do you need it to get there any faster?
'Cause it's
G-force,
fun.
baby.
I guess I just
Also,
understand.
you don't have to necessarily only drive on the road. There's tracks that you can take your car to that you can actually get the most out of your vehicle. And if you're driving a slow car on the track, you're going to get laughed at.
Have you ever been in a fast car, Dalton?
Yeah.
What was it?
What car?
Y'all ever heard of a P90X?
Boy, that's a workout.
That's a burner right there, boy.
No. I've been in what's his face high school. Michael Hayes. What was that little shit he had? Where he used to like just go up to 120 on that road in Trenton.
What kind of car was it? Was it that green car?
Yeah.
The Dodge. What is it? It wasn't a Dart, I don't think. I know what you're talking about.
Was it SRT4?
No, it was a Plymouth something.
Roadrunner.
That is the only
Maybe it was.
that is the only time I've ever been like above 120 miles an hour was in that car, and I was terrified.
Oh boy, I went 120 mile Camino, and that was the scariest thing I've ever
I think
done
probably
in my
shook
life.
like
His mullet started coming in.
But like the first time I ever was in a fast car, an actual purpose-built drag car that it wasn't supposed to be on the road. my mom dated this guy, and he drag raced, and it was a Camaro, like a late 70s, I think. And when he hit the gas, boy, you couldn't lift your head off the headrest.
See that's too much.
It's just something about it. It's just
I just want that
How's
feeling.
the late 70s Camaro, by the way? They're gorgeous.
Okay.
This
This
guy
boy's
right
been
here.
looking at any excuse to look up at a car.
I
on his
love
phone.
looking at cars.
Like no, the reason why this episode needed to happen was because I'll be riding with Dakota somewhere. We'll be talking about something,
Anything.
and he'll stop and he'll just make the same noise he always makes every time. He goes, "Whew." And it's just like
And I won't even look at the road. I'll be just turned all the way around. I'll be in the other lane.
He'll be
about
going-
to hit a car.
he'll be going 60 miles an hour, just whew, turn his head a full 180 like The Exorcist, and he'll
There's a guy that rides around downtown Augusta with a fucking Nismo GTR. That's like $225,000. And
I
every
remember you
single
showed me
time
that.
we pass it, I cannot not stare at it.
He makes
It's
me. Was that the one you made
gorgeous.
me be quiet? You were like, "Shut up!" And you rolled the windows down
Yes,
so you
of
could hear
course.
it.
Absolutely.
They do sound
That's
pretty
the
good.
best sound that's ever come out of a V6 engine.
Yeah.
Other than a 2JZ.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a twin turbo V6, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're getting dangerously close to the end here.
We had that little bit you wanted to do real quick.
Yeah. Before that, let's do a fun little bit. If we could add cars to describe our personalities for each other, what would they be? So, like, if I had a car to describe the two of you, what would they be? And honestly, Wesley, the one I'm gonna give you, and it might just be because I associate you with it every single time it's mentioned, an El Camino.
No, he's a double-decker bus.
What? He got
that
that
neck.
long neck. No. Just because like that's the first time I've ever even seen one of those cars,
Yeah.
and you had it, and then like after you had it, it made me realize how like coveted they are. Honestly,
Yeah.
like how like
I take that as a compliment because
Yeah,
they're versatile. It's a car and a truck.
yeah, and it was just like I don't know, it was really cool. It's a little goofy. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's like you're cool and you're goofy, but you're more cool than you are good. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the one I got for the whatchamacallit. And Dakota, I had to look up yours, but let me make sure I get it right just so you don't think I actually say a cool car. A Jeep Renegade.
Oh.
Ooh, the new one?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because
Have you seen them?
Yes.
The new
because
Jeep truck?
yeah.
Oh, they're so fucking ugly, dude.
Not because it's ugly, but because like I like them, but they're so close to being cool.
Yeah.
You think I'm cool?
Yeah. I think you're kind of cool.
Just a little, though?
Like you're still in the Jeep family. No, here's the thing though. I like them. I like a Jeep Renegade, not
But
the
other
new
people
one.
don't.
Yeah.
That's just like me.
No,
Damn.
I liked it and I wanted one, but people were like, it's not really nice. And I was like, oh no, I think it's really fucking cool. And then it's just like, oh, this is just kind of a way I could roast you with the like, I know like 7 total cars, and that was one of them. So that's all I got.
What about you, Dustin? What would you give us?
What'd you say? What'd you call him?
Dalton, Dakota.
Oh, he
Dustin.
called you Dustin.
I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen.
Shout out Dustin.
Shout out the other twin. But Dakota.
What you got for me, Bo?
What car do you think best matches me?
We cut that.
Yeah. Okay.
What vehicle do I remember? Do I think of when I think of you?
Yeah.
Oh boy, what do I got here for you? I gotta give you something good. What do you got?
I would say he's an El Camino
El
to me.
Camino, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
you're a Jeep Renegade.
that's disrespectful. What is Dalton? I'm mulling you over.
Yeah.
I'll give you an answer.
You
in a
guys
minute.
have a harder time thinking of it because y'all know so
there's
much more
just
cars
all
than I
kinds
do.
of shit going
so
on up
many
here.
vehicles going through my head right now.
Yeah. Chevy Cobalt. Shout out to Chevy for that. 10 years running strong.
Yeah,
And-
like it's still going, but like how? You know? Like,
Yeah, it's because you're not a car guy, but I expect you do change the oil and all that stuff regularly. But that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
You've been to hell and back in that car.
I got a good one for you.
Oh, for Wesley, what
Yeah.
you got?
I got a good one for you.
I'm gonna look it up because I'm not gonna know what it is.
I'm gonna call you a Lotus Elise
I've heard of that one.
because the boy stays fresh to death, but I never know if he's doing all right. And that's Lotus in a nutshell. That's a Lotus in a nutshell.
Yeah. Oh, it's fresher than
no.
fresh, to be honest. Like,
I mean, they are nice. Well, joke's on you. I'm never all right.
Just like a Lotus.
you know, it looks all right, but deep down.
Yeah.
What do you got for me? What am I?
I picked this out as soon as we brought up this topic. A Dodge Ram.
Okay.
Well, now not a Dodge Ram, a Ram, whatever. Since Ram's their own thing now.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, a black one.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know.
All right.
I think we've given Dakota trucks because he's a big guy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a big dude. I think
Okay.
you are a little not physically imposing, but you carry yourself with some confidence.
Okay.
Yeah, and you
It's
definitely
misplaced, but
No, I mean, if you appear confident, you'll eventually just be confident. That's how it works.
False.
That's not false.
Tell that to my brain. See you guys next time on the mental health episode.
No, but you give off a sense of confidence, and it looks like you would just be a car or a truck that just gets shit done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd be
You're durable.
would I be just the Ram 1500 or
Probably the 3500.
well, you see this ass?
Yeah.
I'd have the four wheels in the I'd
You're
have
a
four wheels in the
dually
back for sure. I'd be a dually. I'm thick. Damn boy. All right.
Final thoughts, gang. Final thoughts about cars.
Cars are great. You
Yes.
should drive them.
More often.
Yeah.
Come
Unless
out to
you
Cars
suck
and
at it.
Coffee sometime. Let's see you out there.
Yeah.
Come take pictures. Listen to the fucking engines rumble, boy.
Yeah.
I don't know what sounds good and what sounds
You
bad.
need to come out and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
I will not
You
learn.
can't go wrong with an old
Give me
Chevy.
Give me a nice
Chevy
exhaust.
motor.
On
Yeah.
on a nice American V8.
Yeah.
Ooh. Any day of the week.
Well, yeah, I have to admit the 5.0 sound pretty good.
Give me-
the Mustang.
A 5.0 that has a good exhaust kit. Do
Yeah.
not come to me with your
yeah.
eBay exhaust that you welded yourself
Yeah.
that sounds like you're throwing up into a Campbell's can when you turn your car on.
There was a fella from high school. We're not gonna name drop him. I think you know who I'm talking about. He used to have these cars where he put just like the shittiest kits on them, and he used to always hit deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to always hit deer
He
and
lived
just
in the
fuck 'em up.
country.
Yeah,
Mm.
like he would always just talk about how he raced and.
Oh, he's still hitting shit, but on purpose now.
Oh yeah, I see. He's out there doing stuff.
He'd be doing the demolition derbies now.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh man. So Wesley, thank you so much for coming on and talking about us.
Well, thanks for having me.
I admit that I am very ignorant on this topic, but I enjoy watching you two talk about it. It's fun to watch people who are passionate about something talk about it because both of you just like light up as you're talking about it. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like you get so excited. You're so knowledgeable.
Well, we didn't even talk about our project cars.
Uh-oh.
That's
a
why-
whole nother episode.
That's why Wesley's gonna come back and be on another episode for sure because we just scratched the surface and there's
yeah.
so much more I could learn
Yeah,
from
you
both
just
of
scratched the surface and your boy's still itchy.
you. Yeah, I still got an itch.
That might be
Oh,
the
you
drugs.
might want to check that out.
Oh man,
Drugs are bad, okay?
yeah. Don't do them. Also, drive the speed limit. No. Wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Drive the speed limit.
When you have to.
Unless no one's looking.
Yeah. But don't ever respect police.
If they're out of their jurisdiction, light them up.
We
This is
live
also being cut.
we live right on the river between here and South Kakalaki.
You can be gone, boy.
We can commit crimes and carry them over state lines.
That's the name of the game. Committing crimes across state lines. Is that the episode title, boy?
Yes, it is.
We didn't talk about being criminals at all this entire time.
That's why it's funny. They gotta wait to hear when it comes in, and we're gonna
This
bamboozle.
is all being cut.
No, it's not.
None of this is staying in the episode.
No, it's not. We're only gonna cut like 2 things that we said we were gonna cut.
Yeah, the racist jokes.
A boop bop bing pow.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, Wesley, for coming on talking about cars. This was Dakota's passion episode. Stay tuned. My passion episode next week about video games.
Okay.
With our boy.
Spoiler alert: he has terrible taste in games.
We're gonna actually fist fight on next week's episode. We're gonna have another special guest next week. Our boy Andy Washburn. And if you've been around the Social Disruption podcast since the beginning, before we had our first recorded episode,
He was the one that did the live episode about
Marvel
the
and
Marvel
DC.
versus DC universe.
Yeah.
Maybe 2-3 months ago?
yeah, that was like one of the first things we recorded.
Once we moved down here, yeah.
Once I moved down here, yeah. So
Be on the lookout for that.
he's very knowledgeable in video games. It's great. That's something Dakota is also very knowledgeable with, just a different taste than I have.
I'm just going to dump Skyrim knowledge.
Okay, that's fine. And then I can talk about how Skyrim is the worst Elder Scrolls game.
And I can see how many times it takes to punch you before your nose is indented.
All right, Wesley, final thoughts. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to...
Any social media outlets or anything? You want some followers?
No. Please, no. I don't
right.
want any. The ones I have go away.
All right. Sounds good. Don't look him up on social media.
We're not
He
even going to
will
tell you his last name.
actually decline your friend request, your follow request, anything that you even try to get going. He will shut it down immediately. But
Yeah, but
if you want more wonderful contact, you can follow us on all of our social media accounts at the Social Disruption Podcast.
Yeah, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts.
Did we get iHeartRadio?
We have not got on iHeartRadio yet.
I think we requested, but they
We
haven't
did
gotten back
request
to
it,
us
but
yet.
have not heard
Them
back.
bastards.
Them bastards. All right, well, thank you for listening to another episode of the Social Disruption Podcast. I'm Dalton.
I'm Dakota,
And I'm Wesley.
and we will see you next time.
Bye.